Welcome to this SmartTechCheck EduSeries episode. I'm Mark Vena, CEO and Principal Analyst at SmartTech Research. In this episode, we're unpacking Cristiano Amon's Computex 2026 keynote. Many of you probably did not see it if you live in the United States, but it said a lot about Qualcomm's AI strategy. This was not a classic chip keynote. This was Qualcomm making a much bigger argument. Amon's message was that AI is moving into a new phase. It is no longer just about answering prompts. It is no longer just about a chatbot sitting in a browser. It is about agents that understand intent, remember context, coordinate tasks, and take action across the devices people use every day. That is why Amon called 2026 the year of agents. And that matters because Qualcomm is positioning itself as one of the few companies with silicon across the entire agentic AI landscape. Phones, PCs, cars, wearables, IoT, robotics, and now data center inference. That is the core of the Computex message. Qualcomm wants the market to stop seeing it as a smartphone chip company. It wants to be seen as an intelligent computing platform company. My take is that this was a smart, timely, and ambitious setup. The challenge is execution. The story is compelling. But now Qualcomm has to prove that this agentic AI vision can translate into real products, real workloads, real revenue, and real ecosystem momentum. Cristiano Amon asserts that agents, not look at it. The boldest part of Amon's keynote was the idea that the app is no longer the center of the digital experience. That is a huge statement. For nearly 2 decades, the smartphone has been the hub of our digital lives. Everything revolved around the phone, the operating system, and the app ecosystem. Amon's argument is that this model is starting to change. In an agentic AI world, the agent becomes the center. The phone, the PC, the car, the glasses, and the wearable all become endpoints that serve that agent. That is a powerful reframing. It lets Qualcomm protect its mobile heritage while expanding what mobile really means. Mobile is no longer just a handset market. Mobile becomes personal AI. It becomes wearable AI. It becomes AI in the car. It becomes AI in the PC. It becomes ambient intelligence across every surface where people live, work, and move. That is the upside. The risk is that the market still needs more proof. Consumers do not wake up asking for agentic AI endpoints. They ask for devices that make life easier, faster, and more productive. So Qualcomm's job is to make this feel real, not abstract, not futuristic, real. The keynote did a good job setting the vision, but the next step has to be concrete examples that show why this new agent-centered world is better than the app-centered world we already know. The compute continuum may be the most important branding idea in Qualcomm's Computex story. Why? Because Qualcomm has a breadth problem, not a weakness problem, a communication problem. The company touches smartphones, PCs, cars, wearables, industrial systems, robotics, networking, and data center inference. That is impressive, but it can also feel scattered. The compute continuum gives all of that a single frame. The idea is simple. Qualcomm can scale from tiny low-power devices like earbuds to massive data center systems. The slide frames that range from 2 milliwatts to 2 megawatts. That is a clean way to show Qualcomm's horizontal reach. And it matters because agentic AI will not live in one place. Some workloads will run locally. Some will run in the cloud. Some will move between devices. Some will need sensors, context, connectivity, and low latency response. That is where Qualcomm wants to shine. The keynote structure followed that logic. First agents, then the continuum, then proof points, then physical AI, then token economics, then Dragonfly. My take is positive. This framework makes Qualcomm's broad portfolio easier to understand. It also gives OEMs, partners, and investors a clearer reason to believe that Qualcomm's diversity is not random. It is strategic. This is where Qualcomm's keynote got especially interesting. Hybrid AI economics. That may sound technical, but the message is simple. Running everything in the cloud is expensive. Running the right workloads locally and the right workloads in the cloud can reduce cost, improve responsiveness, and preserve privacy. That is Qualcomm's edge AI argument in plain English. The slide captures the core idea. Cloud-only AI means higher token usage and higher operating cost. Hybrid AI means local plus cloud inference, which can lower the operating expense of AI. That is a big deal. For consumers, this may show up as faster, more personal, and more responsive AI experiences. For enterprises, this may show up as lower cloud bills, better control over data, and more efficient AI deployment. For investors, it creates a stronger economic reason to care about edge AI. Privacy matters, latency matters, but cost gets attention faster, and Qualcomm knows that. This was the hardest hitting part of the keynote because it turns edge AI from a nice technical story into a business case. My assessment is that Qualcomm should keep hammering this point. The market does not need another vague AI promise. It needs a reason to believe hybrid AI is not just better engineering. It needs to be better economics. That is exactly where Qualcomm has an opening. Snapdragon C is an important part of this story because it brings Qualcomm's AI PC ambitions closer to the mainstream. The slide makes the point clearly. Snapdragon C targets entry-tier laptops starting at $300, aimed at students, families, and small businesses. The pitch is all-day battery life, cool and quiet designs, responsive performance, and an integrated NPU. That matters. AI PCs cannot stay trapped in premium price bands. If AI on the PC is going to scale, it has to move into affordable systems. Students need it, families need it, small businesses need it, and frankly, the PC industry needs it. The challenge is that the PC market is still Qualcomm's toughest credibility test. Intel and AMD are deeply entrenched. Apple has set a high bar for ARM-based laptop performance and battery life. Windows on ARM has improved, but perception still lags. So Snapdragon C is more than a product announcement. It is a market access play. It says Qualcomm wants AI PCs not just at the high end, but in volume segments where buying decisions are brutally practical. My take is cautiously positive. This is the right move, but Qualcomm still needs to prove app compatibility, performance consistency, OEM enthusiasm, and clear AI use cases that buyers actually understand. The opportunity is real, so is the fight. Amon's keynote got more interesting when it moved beyond phones and PCs. This is where physical AI enters the story. The slide frames it well. Agentic AI does not stop at screens. It moves into cars, robots, and industrial systems. In those environments, AI has to perceive, plan, and act in real time. That changes the stakes. In a phone, AI helps you summarize, search, or schedule. In a car, AI may help interpret the road, personalize the cockpit, and support safety-critical decisions. In a factory, AI may help detect anomalies, improve workflow, or monitor equipment. In a robot, AI may guide movement, vision, action, and response. This is where Qualcomm's strategy becomes more credible. The company has deep experience in mobile compute, connectivity, sensors, cameras, power efficiency, and automotive platforms. That gives it a real foundation for physical AI. Not a guarantee, but a foundation. The strongest part of this message is that robotics and industrial AI do not feel like random new bets. They feel adjacent to things Qualcomm already knows how to do. My assessment is bright, but realistic. Physical AI could become a major growth vector, but it will require stronger software platforms, partner ecosystems, and proof that Qualcomm can help customers move from prototypes to production at scale. Automotive is Qualcomm's best evidence that it can diversify beyond smartphones. That is why this slide matters. The numbers are meaningful. A $45 billion automotive design win pipeline, $1.3 billion in Q2 fiscal 2026 automotive revenue, and that revenue was up 38% year over year. That is not a side hobby. That is a real business, and it gives Qualcomm permission to tell a bigger story about physical AI, robotics, and industrial systems. Automotive is especially important because it is a tough market to enter. Design cycles are long, validation is intense, safety requirements are high. Customers do not switch platforms casually. So when Qualcomm wins in automotive, it signals more than revenue growth. It signals credibility. It shows the company can take its mobile DNA and apply it to more complex, durable, software-defined environments. That is the bridge to robotics and industrial AI. The message should be direct. When Qualcomm enters a complex market, it does not just bring silicon, it brings compute, software, connectivity, sensing, and ecosystem relationships. My assessment is that Qualcomm should lean even harder into automotive as its proof case. It is the strongest rebuttal to anyone who still says Qualcomm is just a handset story. Automotive proves the diversification strategy has teeth. Dragonfly was the tease, not the full reveal. And that was probably the right move. The slide captures the positioning well. Computex revealed the Dragonfly brand, while most of the details were held for Investor Day. The message was power efficiency, inference scale, and continuity from edge to cloud. That is classic Qualcomm positioning. Performance per watt. Do more with less power. Bring mobile engineering discipline to bigger compute problems. That is an interesting angle in data center AI, because power is becoming one of the biggest constraints in the entire market. But Qualcomm has to be careful here. Data center AI is not an easy market to enter. NVIDIA owns the software narrative. CUDA, developer gravity, networking, systems, and ecosystem momentum are massive advantages. AMD has accelerator momentum and stronger credibility in high-performance computing and AI infrastructure. So Qualcomm should not frame Dragonfly as a frontal assault on NVIDIA. That would be the wrong story. The better story is targeted inference. Power-efficient inference, workload-optimized infrastructure, edge-to-cloud continuity. That is where Qualcomm can sound credible and differentiated. My take is positive, but grounded. Dragonfly is exciting, but Qualcomm now needs named customers, workload clarity, software maturity, and revenue timing. Branding opens the door. Execution keeps it open. Now let's be candid. The keynote had some gaps. The good news is they are fixable and addressable. First of all, and in my view, PC emphasis was too light for a Computex audience. Computex is still a PC-heavy show. Qualcomm has a real PC story, especially with Snapdragon X and Snapdragon C, but the keynote could have connected that story more directly to AI PC adoption, NPU value, and real use cases. Second, AI anxiety was largely unaddressed. That matters. There is growing public concern around AI, jobs, privacy, surveillance, and trust. Qualcomm does not need to turn a technology keynote into a policy speech, but it should acknowledge that always-on agents raise serious questions. Third, security and privacy needed sharper framing. If agents are going to operate continuously, carry context, and act across devices, users need confidence around control, consent, transparency, and guardrails. This is not a minor issue. It is central to adoption. My assessment is straightforward. Qualcomm's technology story is strong. But agentic AI is not only a silicon story, it is also a trust story. The companies that win this next phase will not simply build faster AI, they will build AI that people trust enough to let into their daily lives. Here is my candid assessment. Qualcomm's Computex 2026 posture was ambitious, coherent, and timely. It successfully moved the conversation beyond handsets and made a credible case that Qualcomm belongs in the center of the agentic AI discussion. The strongest messages were clear: agent-centric computing, hybrid AI economics, physical AI, performance per watt. Those are strong pillars, and they give Qualcomm a much broader story than smartphones alone. But the weakest areas were also clear. The PC story needed more weight. The public trust message needed more oxygen. Security and privacy needed sharper treatment. And Dragonfly needs much more detail before the market can fully judge Qualcomm's data center ambitions. So my bottom line is this: Qualcomm landed the vision. Now it has to land the proof. Its upcoming Investor Day needs to show customer wins, revenue timing, developer traction, software maturity, and a clearer path to scaled inference. That is where the story either gets upgraded or gets challenged. Thanks for watching this SmartTechCheck EduSeries episode. If you found this useful, please like it and repost it. And drop a comment with other tech topics you think SmartTech Research should cover next.